All right, hey guys, this is the gear. We've got the Varen soap. I think it's officially, or in the native Dutch type tongue, Furin is what I believe somebody told me online. I love the way you guys can, I love the way there are multinational guys watching my channel, and a lot of times they give me great information that I just would have never known. But I believe that's what somebody said is the right pronunciation of this soap. But if I do call it Varen, please, that's just kind of what my brain says when it looks at the letters. So forgive me, please. Um, we have the supply single edge. I call it the .9 because it's the one released right before they put out the 1.0. And then we also have the brush as the Omega bore brush. And this is one that looks a whole lot smaller in the photos. At least for me, it sure did until I got it. It's got quite a long loft here, and it's not super dense. It's got a very natural fiber here. It's not bleached, and it presents an okay grip. It's not a great grip. As you can see, we've got this plastic here, and then the wood here, and there's it's okay in terms of ergonomics. Now inside the razor, I'm continuing to use the Pella blade, same blade as the Personna injector blades. And I believe this might be the fourth time I've used it. You can check the description of the video in case you're super curious. And I am, I'm going to check it for sure. But I believe that this is the aggressive plate. I used the aggressive plate once before, about a day and a half ago. No, this is a 2 day old shave. Maybe even just a little bit longer. Yeah, 3 dots here. So this is the aggressive plate that Supply provides, and they call it the ultra close, I think is what the word they use. They don't call it like mild, medium, and aggressive. I think they're just trying to help shavers to help new shavers. And I do think this is a great razor to come into the hobby with, to move away from the multi-blade carts. It's very easy to find the angle. It's very tolerant in that regard, and it has a great face feel. It cuts very well, and so today we'll see if maybe that aggressive plate is too aggressive for me. Um, Last time I didn't have a great lather, so I didn't know if it was a fault of the lack of protection from the lather or the fact that maybe this plate is a little on the aggressive side for me. So that's something we'll be playing around with today. Now, the only sense in that maybe this is not a great razor for a person starting out is that it's a little bit on the pricey side. This is the stainless steel version. They call it the steel version, and it is actually stainless steel as opposed to the pot metal and the other ones that are kind of rose gold colors and some other ones. As far as I know, those are alloy. And while they'll probably still give you a lot of years of use if you care for it properly, they have a tendency to corrode and break eventually. But this is the steel version, and it's on the pricey side. You can save a little bit of money with the alloy version, but it's still not super cheap. Now, it's still cheap compared to buying the multi-blade carts all the time. So there's that. But that's the only barrier I might see to the freedom of introducing other people, new shavers, to this razor. But it's very user friendly and effective, and those are the two main things I think. I have taken a shower, and so um, I don't usually do that before a shave. And so my skin is clean, my beard is clean and hydrated, that sort of thing. Furin was a creation of Stirling. It's a unique, original creation by Stirling as they worked with a Dutch user group and had some back and forth and figured out what those guys wanted. And it's very natural, very green, fresh, zesty, kind of on the herby side. Plants I think it's a food. Is it a fougere? I can't remember what the right terminology here is for this one, but very green and grassy, that sort of thing. That like not lawn grass, but like lemongrass almost. You know, a more sinewy kind of grass. And I highly recommend it. Pick up a sample. Sometimes it's a seasonal offering. It is in the Mutton tallow base that Stirling puts out. Let's see. A lot of times they'll put a sheep or something right there to make it easy, but Varen, Port-au-Prince, and Glastonbury are the three that don't have the sheep name but are still in the Mutton base. The mutton tallow costs are rising, Rod has said, and so he hopes he's able to continue that line. But you know, it could be something he has to discontinue because it's just super expensive. All right, let us load up. The brush had a great time soaking while I was in the shower. And so I'm going to shake out much of the water. And then we'll load up. 30-second load is probably all we need. Uh, 30 rolled around right there. Now, as you see the brush lagging like that. That's one of the problems I have with the Omega brushes that have such long loft, like the Pro 48, that kind of thing. Now, I believe thanks to this big tub, I'm able to get a good bit of movement across the surface of the soap to be able to generate the lather that we pick up enough soap that we need. If you don't feel like you're getting that, and there's 30 seconds, then what you can do is, and I've even seen people lather their face like this. You choke up on it and hold some of the bristles so that you don't have that lag. I don't know, is anything gonna drip out? A little bit. Yeah, just the conservationist in me, the miser in me, the guy who doesn't want to waste, just likes to take that little bit of excess and put it in the bowl. And then, oh hey, you're crooked. And then I take the excess around the side of the bowl here, side of the tub. Kind of start. It's a good way to get the scent around your nose kind of early on if you are shaving with a scent that you especially enjoy. If you are like me and you shave before your shower, then it's a nice way to clean your face a little bit. Just another reminder, another PSA for you guys: don't use an exfoliator before your shave. Don't use a scrub, some kind of pre-shave product that includes a scrub exfoliation type feature, or some kind of face wash that does that, because the act of dragging that blade across your skin is exfoliation. And so you're double exfoliating. Now, your skin may be able to handle that, but there are plenty of guys who can't do that, and they get irritation. So take my advice, especially if you get any irritation. And this is advice I've gotten from other people because I've never used any kind of scrubs on my face. I don't speak from personal experience, but I've seen so many guys talk about it online. And exfoliation is not necessary if you're about to shave. All right. Now, oh yeah, see, I got that Varen coming around here. I soaked pretty much the whole knot, and so it's got a little bit of wetness. Yeah, you can see it kind of in there already, and that's okay. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of work it for a minute without even adding any water, and you can see how it's starting to develop. And I may need to go back to the tub. You know, this guy may have, even though his tips aren't super soft, he may have not been able to pull up as much soap. We'll just have to watch it. So this Omega is, it has those natural unbleached bristles, and there are many guys out there, and that's their preference, because because when the tips split, and it gives them the softness that they want, and they just think it's something special for them, and they're big fans. But I tell you what, it's maintaining a little bit of prickle. I've used it maybe 25 times, 26 times, something like that. And so it's not really all that comfy, and the long splay here is just not really fun to deal with. And to be honest, I was thinking about taking it out of my rotation. But I've only got 2 Omegas in my rotation. And this is the one with the unbleached, and this is the only one like itself. The other Omega I have is a one that really kind of reminds me of the Simogs. It's got the band, the inked band, and so I think the tips were bleached before then, not the tips, but the whole brush bristles were bleached, and so they actually are not like this guy. They're very soft. It's very enjoyable. It's not a big knot like this one is, and so that's the first Omega I've ever had that was like that. And so I'm keeping that guy in the rotation for sure. And so I felt like I needed to have this guy to represent the big Omegas with the unbleached bristles and that sort of thing. But honestly, I wasn't really looking forward to using it over the years in the rotation. And I've heard from many people that you've got to get 300 uses on your Omega brush, this kind of Omega brush, before it starts getting soft and enjoyable. And since my Zenith brushes, Simog brushes become more enjoyable in a dozen uses or less, I just tended to gravitate more toward them. But I'm given new hope and new life in wanting to use this brush now that I've decided to use the hairdryer technique to accelerate the tip splitting, because I think it's really going to help this brush to be nicer. This is not an expensive brush, as many boars are. We've got lots of great lather here. Look at that. It's very hydrated. It might be just perfect. Now, so that in case I have any water in the knot, let's kind of get in on there and scrub for just a second, really pressing down with some vigor to make sure that we integrate all the water that's in the brush. We don't have any surprises later. This lather looks terrific, doesn't it? All right. Get my face wet one more time. All right. And so I think these Omega tips are going to start to shine. And I don't doubt that this is going to become a soft brush. And yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of scritch. Tiny bit of prickle. Not too bad. If I had to use this brush every day, I think I'd be okay with it. I sure would miss the softer boars and the badgers, but you know, I'm pretty sure. Oh, I'm starting to feel more prickle now. So it is one that I don't really enjoy all that much. You can soften up the feel a little bit by running your lather a little drier, but then you have the problems with that. Tips definitely still have some pokiness to them, even after this many uses. And to be honest, I often will work my brush a little extra. Make sure I get the lather really worked into my skin so that it can protect me. But with this brush, it's so kind of scritchy. And actually right now, I'm kind of going to say scratchy too. I don't usually say that, but it is kind of being a little scratchy. So I can't wait to blow dry the heck out of this thing. see if we can make some progress, because now I do advise the little pattern of just use it. If you have a boar brush, you've only got one brush, you've only got a couple of brushes. If you're going to use it in high rotation, then one of the safest things to do is just use it. And the fact that you're using it and wet dry cycles and things like that means that you're going to accelerate its break-in. And then hopefully with an Omega in a year or two, you might be in a great spot. But I have too many boar brushes to do that with. And so that is why, thanks to my friend SpongeBob on Reddit, I decided to do a break-in accelerator with a hairdryer. All right, so the aggressive plate, obviously he's going to be suited and not going to have a problem with knocking down the extra day of growth. So there's that, but we'll see how he acts in the second and third passes as well. Not any tugging, moving through the hair easily. A little bit of resistance, but it's almost more perceived as just a slowness and not really having trouble cutting, but maybe that's what it is. All right, let's get a rinse going on. Oh, hey, little tip. I was thinking about how to transport this guy, and while I could probably put him in a normal little case, like a neoprene eyeglasses case that I often get at the Dollar Tree for carrying my razors, I thought about using something different, and I just got a medicine bottle here. And the reason is because when this is in the bottle, you see the blade isn't going to get touched. And so this is the spare head in here in this cloth. And so I had it in down this way, and so the head was going to be up here. And so that was going to protect the blade from any kind of, touching of anything while I was traveling. And so I think that's a pretty good idea. Now you could also use like a hard plastic eyeglasses case. I've definitely used those before, but since it's a little harder to pull this blade in and out than with the DE. With the DEs, I usually travel with the blades separate. But this kind of arrangement, I think, worked really well. A little water on my face. All right, very good. Feeling in my stubble right there. Revealed that on my cheeks especially, we've got a nice close cut. And so that's good. Means the blade is sharp enough to do the job still. Because I think it was, just after this use, it was on its fifth use. My other Pella blade did not do very well in this razor. It was the medium base plate instead of the aggressive one, and so that could be all the difference. That particular blade just happened to need more exposure, and with the prickliness and scratch that I'm getting from this brush, I don't want to spend very much time working that lather in. But that's the reason for my boarathon, is to have all these brushes together, and so I can say that, hey, yeah, here I am using this Omega, and he is scritchy and scratchy, while my Simogues and Zeniths are not at all. Now, in a sense, that's fair in terms of evaluating the brush at the young stage, all right? But in a sense, it's not fair, because at least in terms of people choosing a brush to have for a long length of time, because why? Because right now we're dealing with the brush at a young stage, and so it's not going to be young forever. And so I hope, and I try to say this about every time, but it's likely to get to be a lot better when it gets to be an older brush and get more uses and the tips split. They're not going to be this scritchy when they split. At least surely they're not, right? Rinse. Also, I'm continuing to use Stirling these days because this past January, just a few days ago, 2022, was 10 years anniversary of Stirling soaps being in business. And I just really like what they bring to our community. Third pass, and the lather is not going to be the problem today. Last time the lather wasn't all that great. I just didn't grab up enough soap because of the size of the brush. The brush was too big for the tub and it just didn't pick up enough soap to give me a good lather. I made it through okay, but I ended up with a little irritation. So let's see if the third pass here, right now I feel like I could walk away. I think I've got a pretty good shave. Let's see what the third pass does. It'll be picking up little stray hairs, but let's see if it gives irritation. Yeah, moving through easily, not really feeling like we're cutting very much at all. It's got a thicker blade than the double edge, and so it is not going to be as vocal. You're not going to hear that chatter. Very good clamping on the blade because it's a more narrow blade, so you can't really let it hang out there like what a lot of the DE designs do. Just got online today and did the pre-order for the Blackland era. It may be it may become one of my favorite Blackland. It may easily supplant the Dart as a Blackland DE that I could use because the Dart's kind of at the top end of my tolerance level. The price point's about right. It's similar to the Carve in terms of price point. I ordered a couple different base plates. It's hard to guess as far as which base plates you might like as you order. I had one of the open comb base plates and three of the solid bar, the bottom three, level 1 through 3. And I bet that's a good guess as to which ones I'm going to like the most. So right now I don't feel too much irritation. Let me get a good rinse now. That was a very easy, comfortable pass. The razor moving very well through the skin, the lather being wonderfully slick. Now, something has happened. I don't know if the blade edge is starting to become less efficient, but I've got a good many hairs in a trouble area here that need to be cut down a little bit more. So let's try that. Little touch-up pass here. The feeling I'm getting from this aggressive plate is that I could definitely give myself some razor burn if I lapsed with some and had some bad technique. Keeping it very light as I'm not going full on against the grain, but I'm taking some slight oblique against the grain type angles. And there we go. I will say, and I've done so regularly while using this razor for the last few days now, they have upgraded and changed the razor. They've discontinued the single edge and they're calling it the SE now. It has the same body, but it has more of an open comb style plate that they've apparently switched to. And it is compatible with the older versions, the website says, but just to let you know. Now you could probably still get some of these on the used market in case you're curious and you think that this solid bar is the way to go. Now, let's check the closeness there after that touch-up. That was much better. I do have other razors that do it better and probably with more comfort, but I got the job done. It would be very interesting to see if this Pella slash Personna blade only gave me, 4 or 5 uses, and then it was done. All right, well, we have plenty of lather left over at the end of the shave, and yeah, I think I hit it perfectly. Creamy, very hydrated, luxurious, just nailed it. And this is the Mutton Tallow base. It's a lot easier to get this kind of lather with the Mutton Tallow. It's just better than the beef tallow, slicker, creamier, all that stuff. I forgot I was wondering just now why that was maybe a little bit more superior than my usual Stirling lathers. And they're usually great, but this is even greater. And then I realized it was because it's that Mutton Tallow base. Just amazing. Now, you guys out there have been often very generous, and you're so kind. Alex sent me this aftershave, and I think its notes, I think they're going to play very nicely with the Varen soap. So, Floris number 89. And it's a little on the pricey side, and so that just means that Alex was particularly generous. And it's been great to bring the couple of Floris products to you guys. And this is not just an alcohol splash. It sure feels like it's got some good skin food ingredients in it. It does seem to go a little quickly, but it does really seem to have some maybe glycerin or whatever those other ingredients are that help your skin out. It looks like it's got some of those in there too. It's not just a nice scent with alcohol. So that's cool. How much water did we use in that excellent lather? Just about 16 milliliters. That's about it. And we have at least 2 passes left over there that I could do. Oh, incidentally, the shower was Barrister and Man for Full Measure of Man was today. And these are those the scraps, the bag of scraps that he sold. I don't know if he still has those on his site, but a great discount. And I just took 2 of the scraps and kind of melted them together. Not melted, but I moistened them and squeezed them together, and they became one. So that has worked out to be a great decision. All right. Oh yeah, that's a great scent, and it is really working well with the Varen soap. Seems so strange to say it that way. Hey guys, I had to switch you to a different view because the suction cup mount on I have a claw type camera mount, and then it's got a flexible arm and then a suction cup, and the suction cup started to come unloose. I heard it, and then I looked at it and I thought, that's different. And sure enough, I unattached it, looked under, and it's tearing away. And so I think we were almost about to see a big drop like we've had before. So we switched things, and here is the base plate for the medium, or the comfortable, I believe they call it. And I think that's what I'll use tomorrow, and that'll be the 5th shave with this blade and this Pella Personna blade, and that same shave on an older blade that had been around for a couple of years on and off using. Maybe that blade edge had some corrosion, I'm not exactly sure, but this will be that same plate used with the same blade with the same number of uses, and we'll see if it behaves as badly as it did I don't know, a week ago. So this is the one that I didn't use it today. I had it wrapped up in the little cloth here in the bottom of that medicine bottle that I showed you. All right, well, I enjoyed the Varen. It's a great classic traditional type scent, not super manly, but kind of perfume manly. It's got some, it doesn't have really too much in terms of like leathery and woods. It's definitely got some florals in there, but there's enough of the other type of notes that I don't think it's a feminine type scent. We talked about the water. The lather was just perfect today. I hit it just right, as it turns out. The brush was scritchy and scratchy and not really all that enjoyable. However, it did make a good lather. And I do look forward to when I can start hair drying this guy. I have made a grid, and the boarathon that I have about a dozen brushes in, mostly Smogs, but I've also got a couple of Zeniths and a couple of Omegas and a Stirling. And I am going to, 27 is the maximum that the most used ones are at. I've tried to all bring them up. Most of them are at either 25, 26, or 27 uses. And so I've set 27 as my landmark, and I'm going to bring the ones that aren't at 27, I'm going to even them up and bring them to 27 uses. And then after that, once it's had 27 uses, I'm going to do about five hair dryer treatments on that brush before I use it again for the 28th time. And then I'll do 5 more hair dryer treatments before we go to the 29th time, that kind of thing. And 1 more cycle of hair dryer treatments, and then 30 uses. So at that point, when they've all had 30 uses, they will have each gone through 15 different hair dryer treatments at the same level of their maturity. And so I think that may tell me a good bit about the brushes, and hopefully even the ones like the Stirling and especially this particular Omega hopefully those tips will get kinder and with the more aggressive treatments. As I have inspected my Smog Owners Club brush that I did do 10 treatments on, I saw lots of tips that still had 3 or 4 different splits. And so this seems like a healthy way to do it, at least the way I'm doing it. So I think I'm going to proceed with doing it with my boarathon brushes. I'm really looking forward to what it does to this particular brush. And because as I was talking earlier, right now we're evaluating, I'm telling you about this brush. Let's wash it off. And here's what it looks like just with a good rinse out and then a shake out in the sink. Let's towel strop it. And then here's what it looks like after a towel stropping. A little bit different, a little wider. You can definitely tell it's drier. You can see the individual strands being kind of more cloud-like instead of all clumped together. And so, yes, he's prickly right now. But where he really should be judged as a brush, and the Omega brand in terms of this type of brush, is once he's mature, because that's where he's going to spend most of his time. I mean, sure, it may take a year or 2 of just using it to get it to a good point, and to me that's too much, but for a lot of people it's not. But after that, then you can have years of great experiences if it turns out that after a good maturity, if these tips turn magical, if they split in a really great way, and then the softness of the tips is combined with the kind of the strength of the fibers here, and maybe the bigness, the huge size of this knot here. Maybe that becomes a great feature as well. As the tips split, it needs more room, and maybe all those things add up to be a great brush once it's broken in, once it's really broken in. And so I've actually said this in the past regarding my Smogs and my Zenith, my different Zeniths. The Smogs are really easy going and soft, but what happens? What if you get them a year down the road with a year's worth of uses, and this guy becomes magic because he's still got a little bit of backbone, but now he's got those soft tips. And the Smog, the backbone has already been soft from the beginning, and now you've got the soft tips, and maybe it's a little bit too cushy for some people. So you really have to kind of compare apples to apples, and I'm trying to be as fair as possible in that regard. But we'll just see what this guy looks like. I have definitely done a good bit of clipping of hairs. I don't really like the dark colored hairs being in my brush, and so I will often pull them over to the side and cut them. And also, if you see some with a solid tip, that usually means they're inverted, and you can cut those out, pull them over to the side, and cut them close to the root, is one way to do it. All right, well, that's today. Pretty good shave, prickly brush, but everything else is great. Closeness was okay, and smelling good. Take care, you guys. All the best to you. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Bye.